describe an example of an ethical dilemma that came in front of the IRB that may have been handled differently later in your tenure than it would have been before you came on board?
Oh, there's so many, but one that comes to mind was a protocol regarding autism. Autism can be a very devastating condition, and we certainly know more about it today than we used to, and that's in part because we're now doing research with people who suffer from autism. If you go back 20 years ago, they weren't doing research with people suffering from autism because somehow there was a notion that these people were too vulnerable, that they were inappropriate as research subjects, particularly to take someone with autism and put them into a PET scanner or functional MRI and expect them to lay there while they study their brain and ask them questions and so on. But a protocol came through that wanted to do just that. And it led to a very lengthy and emotional discussion among the entire committee. And when after we completed the discussion, it was clear that we didn't know enough about autism to really make a determination as to whether or not it was an appropriate way to do research, or even if it was appropriate to do research in this population. And so the solution was to appoint a working group of the IRB members, including both lay and scientific members, and have them meet with a group that was put together by the local group that was an advocacy group for patients with autism. And they brought along, I remember the meeting well, a gentleman who had suffered with autism from childhood and yet now was a functioning adult, was able to get by, learned to deal with his disease. And we learned so much. We learned that, in fact, even when people have autism, they can still make rational decisions. We were totally ignorant. And as a result of this meeting that we put together, again, two groups who were at odds with common goals and common responsibilities that were shared, we actually found a way to do this research that otherwise it might have just not happened. And it was valuable research, and it's led to our understanding of autism. It also educated a whole group of us around the IRB and others about the value of looking beyond just what you know in order to get more information, a different perspective on the issues as a means of resolving these ethical dilemmas. And we applied that approach to many other protocols, protocols involving children, protocols involving phase 1 studies and others. Even I remember one after the death of Jesse Gelsinger. We were doing a protocol at the Mass General that involved, again, brain tumors, something that I had known something about. And it was a phase 1 protocol using a gene transfer approach to put the susceptibility for a certain antibiotic selectively into tumor cells. And the virus that was being used for the gene transfer was the same virus that had been involved in the study in which Jesse Gelsinger died. And I got a call from Alice Dember at the Boston Globe. She'd found out that we were doing this study, and she wanted to know if the Mass General was going to stop this study. And I, in fact, told her no, we weren't. And she said, why not? And I said, because we're doing it right. Because we had taken the time to do it right, and we felt good about that. So I think at the Mass General, there's always been, I think, a strong commitment from the time of Henry Beecher to doing it right. And that doesn't mean just not doing it. That means looking, learning, finding the way to do it right. And I'm very, very proud to have been part of that.